Three, two, one. Hey, it's Wild Josh from Geek-Cetera, and I'm joined by Chase, Joa, and Ezra. And with the news that EA has lost its exclusivity with Lucasfilm, cue Hallelujah music, we're going to talk about our favorite Star Wars video games of all time. Now, let's get geeky. All right.
That is staying in the video.
Of course. So we're going to talk about our favorite Star Wars games of all time. There's a list that's a mile long to choose from. I'm just going to go first. When I thought about all the different games that I've played that were Star Wars that I really enjoyed, and I'm talking going all the way back to like Nintendo games, all the way up to I played Fallen Order through. So I based it based on how much time I spent playing the game, how much enjoyment and value for my money, I guess. And I would say it was the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO done by BioWare. That game, I had maxed out every character to max level, all the different types. So there was 4 different classes in the dark side, 4 different classes in the light side. I got them all to max level. Had a guild and playing some pretty difficult content that was end level stuff, and I had a lot of fun playing that game. A lot of fun. So that was the game I would pick. I also got my wife playing it, and we would play together, and she would be like, I would be like the tank and she'd be the healer. So that kind of helped enjoying that experience, having a game that I could play with my wife. So
And then he tried playing it with Kyle and I, and we didn't even get past the first group mission. It was terrible.
Yep. So it was, well, you guys weren't really into playing MMOs.
No.
Whereas I had, in years and years ago, played World of Warcraft pretty heavily and knew what it was like to actually work together as a team in an MMO.
Yeah.
So it would just fit better for my playstyle. Anyways, that was what I'm gonna pick. Let's go on to Ezra. What have you chosen?
So this is really tough because I grew up playing mostly Star Wars games. There's so many that I played. I sunk a lot of hours into Battlefront 2, the original one.
The good one.
The good one. Well, I like the new one too, but this one's definitely a lot better, I would say, because the net play was super awesome. It was nice to be able to play with your friends and you know, I had a friend that we just sunk a lot of hours just in playing online together that game. And then, but the story mode too, like it was a little on the short side, I think. I don't remember how long it was, but it was an awesome story mode that took you from, like you were a clone and it took you from the very first battle on Geonosis, wow, to like the very last battle on Endor, and that was pretty cool. Yeah, so that's definitely up there on my list. The other one, like, that I played a lot, I didn't play it as much, but it's one of those ones that I played a couple times through, was The Force Unleashed. And that game was really fun because it made you feel like you were a Jedi or like you had the Force. It was so much fun with all the different combos and Force abilities that you could use. It made you just feel so powerful to like throw around stormtroopers and lightning them to death and then electrocute them and throw them at other stormtroopers. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
The one thing I appreciate about that game was that the first level they gave you like Darth Vader and he was just like super powerful. And then they strip you everything from you and they give you like your character you play for the rest of the game. And I just love that you got that taste of like, okay, eventually this is how awesome I'm going to be.
Yeah, that was definitely
just good game design.
Yeah.
Good game design.
Yeah.
And the story in the first one was so good. And I enjoyed every second of it. The second one, very short and not very good. But the first one, very, very good. Recently, I mean, Jedi Fallen Order. I think we couldn't go through this video without saying or mentioning Jedi Fallen Order. Story was a little short for a game that only has story, but that being said, it was excellent. It was a great story, and the gameplay super solid.
Very fun.
It was super fun, and like the thing I like to say about it is that it's basically like the Force Unleashed. But instead of feeling infinitely powered like Force abilities, you felt like you were like a saber pro. Like just most of it was lightsaber based combat instead of like Force abilities. There were a lot of Force abilities too, but not to the extent Force Unleashed. Because like, and I think Force Unleashed it made you it was more fun to just use your Force abilities in Fallen Order. It's a lot more fun just to use your lightsaber like combat. So that was a fun game.
Abilities in that game are more puzzle oriented, so
yeah, that's the other thing that game did super well is the puzzles were very fun and challenging. So it wasn't just all about combat either. Like there was very heavy story elements, very heavy puzzle elements, and then there was combat. And so like, I don't know, it's a very well-rounded game, and I hope to see more from EA of games like that. So I think those are my top 3.
I would have gone with Fallen Order because the story was so fantastic. It's just the shortness of it, right? And the fact that there was no like, as soon as it was released and I beat it, I kind of went and traded it in because I wanted another game, because they had no like mention of even like DLC coming for it or anything. It was just like, that's it. And it took me maybe a week to beat. And
very little replayability.
Yeah.
I'm
that's what I felt.
I know that Ezra started this, and it's kind of what gave me the idea. I haven't gotten very far into it because I haven't played in a while, but I did the first one on, I think, normal difficulty. I don't remember what they call it. Probably Jedi Knight.
Or
and Ezra and I are gonna go back through and try and beat it on Grandmaster mode, which is just insanely difficult.
But then it's gonna be one of those games that I uninstall and I come back to in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like as far as hours that you can sink into a game, it's not one of those games. It's a story game, and whereas like Battlefront 2, like I played hours and hours in net play with my friends, and that was a lot of fun, and it never really got old too. That, you know, it's just one of those things. Like, I think there are a lot of games that you kind of play through once and then you kind of put them down, but it doesn't mean they're not good games. So that's where I'm at with Fallen Order and Force Unleashed, because those two were kind of just like story-driven games. That was the only thing that they had, was the story.
So next, let's go to let's change it up. Let's go to Joa.
All right, so mine is probably a little unorthodox, but my entire childhood was this.
Lego Star Wars, let's go.
Lego Star Wars, the complete saga.
Such a good game.
So, we like talk about contrast though with Fallen Order and Force Unleashed. You play through it once or twice and then put it down for a couple of years. Lego Star Wars has so much replayability. I find personally, Lego Star Wars is more replayable than the actual movies are rewatchable.
I don't know if I'd go that
I'm
far.
not ready to go that far with it.
So much.
I'm not ready to go that far.
I'm there with it, because I'm that might just be my bias. I'd rather play a game than watch a movie because I find games more engaging. But you can play Lego Star Wars for hours and hours and still have things that you can do. You know, there's so much collectibles, so many characters to unlock, so many extras. And by the time you finish the story, there's still so much left of the game.
So let's talk about that for a second, because as far as Lego Star Wars, and Jedi Fallen Order go, like they're very similar games in the sense that they're very story driven, and that's the only element that they have. Like they have a story mode, they don't have a multiplayer, they don't have an arena or whatever. But like, why is it that Lego Star Wars you can play for hours and hours, and Jedi Fallen Order you just can't? I think it comes down to collectibles to a degree.
Partially collectibles. I think the ease of getting the collectibles, and partially just the appeal of it being, a toys.
I know, and
You have this.
I think part of the
Yeah.
what, sorry to interrupt, Joe, but like part of getting the collectibles
worries.
that makes it replayable is there's some that you can only get by playing as a dark side force character, or some you can get by only playing as a character that is small and can crawl through doors, and one that you can only get with people that can jump high. So like in order to get these collectibles, you have to play through the levels several times. So,
Yeah.
I think
And-
that's something that
And
makes
you
it-
have to collect the characters to get the collectibles. And
Yeah.
then a lot of the collectibles are like power-ups, and they enhance the gameplay as well as you're
Yeah.
going down, like playing. So I don't know, there's just so much to do in that game where on paper it's just a story game,
And-
but you can replay the levels so
and
many
it's
times and go back and get the collectibles.
multiplayer. You can play it co-op with a friend too,
That's
which
true
I think
too, yeah.
helps.
Yep, I agree.
I think it's one of those games that will never grow old.
So
Because even though the graphics will be bad, it's gonna be like Super Mario 64 in that sense, where it's like people still love it because of the childhood nostalgia.
I 100%
Like,
agree, which is why my question to you, Joe, is: are you looking forward to Lego The Skywalker Saga coming out
I'm
2021?
cautiously optimistic.
So let's jump into chases because you're the last one.
Real quick, I was gonna say let's jump into Kyle's.
I wanted to share my favorite Star Wars game as well. I guess it's actually the best Star Wars game, but I took it as favorite. Maybe it's not the best, but to me it was my favorite. So nostalgia plays heavy for me here. I'm choosing Star Wars Masters of Terrascasi. See, I didn't know much about the EU at the point that this game was released. I was about 10 when it came out, so the secret characters in that game introduced me to Mara Jade and Jodo Kast, who I had never heard of before, and I was also blown away by seeing my first dual-bladed lightsaber that Leia was wielding with the yellow blades. That was before Darth Maul, and I just thought that was so cool. Now, this game received pretty negative critical reviews, but it did introduce Terrascasi and the character Arden Lin, one of the masters of Terrascasi, to the EU. But now Terrascasi is canon. It was name dropped and kind of, I guess, shown or alluded to in Solo, a Star Wars story. So yeah, I'd say it had an effect on Star Wars at large. So that's my pick. Star Wars Masters of Terrascasi.
Now let's jump into chases.
So, Joa definitely took one of my top ones. I played so much Lego Star Wars. Love that game. Ezra took another one of mine in Fallen Order. That's a very fun game to play. I had never played a game like that. They call it a Souls-like in terms of like the combat style, based on Dark Souls. But that was super fun to me to play as, and I loved the story of that. But I don't think that it quite compares to the story of my number one game, which is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Just because I had tried playing that game, and I loaded in, was on the Endar Spire, and I died, and I was like, this combat system is complete garbage, I'm uninstalling the game. So I uninstalled it. And then, 2 years goes by, and I have a friend saying, did you ever finish the game? And I said, no. And he's like, why not? And I was like, because the combat system sucks. He's like, get over it. And I'm like, nah. But then I kept seeing them post things about it. I'm like, fine. I've been told it's a really great story. I'll just suffer through it. And I re-downloaded it, I played it, and it was one of those games where I would look at the clock and see it says 10 p.m. And I'm like, okay, I can play for like another 30 minutes and I'll go to bed. Alright, it's 1 p.m. Oh boy. So it's just like I kind of got sucked into the story, and just because of how good the story was, and the fact that I had somehow made it my entire life without hearing any spoilers of the story of that game, it just like when I got to the plot twist, it kind of like blew my mind. I'm like, what? This is so fun. And it was just a really cool game for me to play. Um, and so I've been dying for the remastered edition, where they basically just reskin Fallen Order and give me the story of Jedi Knights of the Old Republic with the combat system of Fallen Order that I really liked, and the kind of like open world adventure-y aspect. I think that'd make a very, very fun game. I doubt that
When you
they'll
said
do it.
that, I was like, are they actually doing that at first? And then
No,
realized,
I-
no,
It would
it's-
make so
wish
much
it would.
sense though,
they have the
because
system, they have the engine, the game engine.
yeah, and it makes so much sense too, because like it's very similar in the way you could progress, like being very open ended. You could go to basically whatever planet you wanted to in Knights of the Republic,
Hmm.
and you also can do that in Fallen Order. I don't know. It just
Yeah,
it would work so well.
I think it would. I think it'd be a
Yeah.
really fun game, and it's a great Star Wars story. And it's I think we've talked about how you could do like a TV series or a movie of that entire kind of like the Mandalorian Wars leading into the story from Knights of the Old Republic and whatever and all that kind of stuff. But if they want to keep it in video game form, because they've said playing everybody plays the character differently, and that's why they give you the option to go like the light side or the dark side paths, and you kind of get these differing dialogue options. If they want to keep it in a video game, I'm fine. Just give it to me because I will keep playing it. But yeah, so KOTOR is definitely going to take my number one overall spot. I do think we'd be remiss on this podcast, though, or video, whatever it is, if we didn't talk about Star Wars Squadrons. So I
I was gonna
played,
mention that too.
yeah, I played a lot of Star Wars TIE Fighter, Star Wars X-Wing, and Star Wars X-Wing versus TIE Fighter growing up. So I was really excited when they said Star Wars Squadrons is coming out. So, obviously, we all. Josh, did you get it?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
It's my anniversary this weekend, and I have a feeling it might be coming. But yeah.
Well, the three of us have gotten it. We've played some online together, and we've all played the story mode. I like it. It's a very fun
I haven't
game.
finished the story mode.
Yeah.
I've been playing it in VR and I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The
The
story mode
VR
is
is
short.
gotta be pretty cool.
And it goes back to Ezra talking about Battlefront 2. The story is very short, but that's also just because it has an online play, so they didn't need to focus on the story because the game has this replayability now. But yeah, it's very fun.
But anyway, that
I-
game's really cool, and especially coming from some other space combat sims. I'm glad to have this because the yeah I'm missing that kind of aspect in my gaming right now, because I kind of just decided not to play Elite Dangerous ever again.
It's
But
kind of funny. For
but
me,
like Squadrons has like filled that void for me. It's not as simmy as Elite Dangerous was, but honestly I like the gameplay better because it's a little bit more arcadey.
So that's all we went through. All so that means who went first? Me.
You.
Old Republic,
Hmm.
MMO. Ezra, you said. Now I gotta
I think
remember.
I don't
Fallen
know.
Order.
Force
You
Unleashed.
said Fallen Order, right?
His was
I
Force Unleashed.
said-
Force Unleashed was his favorite.
Force Unleashed. Okay, I thought it was Fallen Order.
Or
Right, but-
Battlefront 2, or
he has
Fallen
like
They're all
Order.
equal.
5.
They're all equal.
Joa, you were Star Wars Legos, Complete Saga.
Yes.
Chase, you were KOTOR,
Hmm.
and Kyle was
Masters
Masters
of
of
Terrace
Terrace
Kasi.
Kasi. Very good. So it's funny that we all chose different games. Like, didn't even come close. I guess the closest. There wasn't really any that came close.
And it's just it's so funny because Star Wars spans so many genres of games, and like I think the only genre we didn't really mention was like the RTS genre, which like
Mm.
Star Wars has Empire at War, which is an RTS,
That's a pretty good one.
which
too.
I also
Yeah.
played and really liked, but it didn't make the list anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why this is a game for any
Yeah.
kind of gamer.
And even
We're
you
in-
can talk
yeah.
about the Jedi Outcast games too. Those are heavy story-based ones.
Yeah, a
Jedi,
little bit more like
Jedi
first-person
Outcast, Jedi
shooter-ish,
Academy.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I know they were
Dark
re-releasing
Forces,
a
which was
bunch
kind of
of
like the
games.
Doom reskin.
Yeah.
They're re-releasing a bunch of the games on the Switch. Like I think there's one like Jedi
Yeah, I saw,
Academy.
Jedi Academy is on Switch. Yep.
They have Pod Racer on it now.
Pod Racer was a fun game.
There you go. That's your racing game.
Yeah.
There you go. There's the
Pod
Mario
Racer.
Kart.
Some guy actually redid Pod Racer in Unreal Engine 4.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
And I was like, I want that.
That'd be cool. All right, so there you have it. What do you think? What is your favorite Star Wars video game? Let us know in the comment section below, or just say something. Helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
I'm just gonna insert the Lego Yoda dying sound.